Hey, Shalom, Shalom, Shalom. First and foremost, call hello Yahweh, Bahashim Yahushua, Bahashim Kodash. Double honors go out to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone who continue through the Holy Spirit to give us His truth, all right, wisdom, knowledge, and go out there on the highways and byways, try to give it to the nation of Israel. Lo and behold, I come across this. This is from Newsweek. And these little whiny bitches, all right, that stole our identity. And this is what they do when they can no longer control the narrative and they're confronted with it head on. It says, U.S., their bitch, Israel walk out of United Nations meeting after Zionism likened to racism. So here it is, the people that stole our identity, that have put this massive spell on the people of the world who actually believe that shit, that these are the people of the Most High. So they got their little feelings hurt. They couldn't take it. And as they're prone to do, they get up and walk out. That's why I miss when Hugo Chavez was still alive, Venezuela. He used to get in that ass at the UN. And they would do the same thing, get up and walk out. Also, what's his name? From Iran. Um, what was his name? He used to get them too. I can't recall his name. Maybe before I'm through with this. But those were, yeah. And it says, after a draft resolution was introduced at the United Nations General Assembly that likened Zionism to racism, the U.S. and Israel walked out of the annual meeting. The Associated Press reported the provision, which also singled out Israel for criticism, was eventually discarded. All right, letting you know who's really running this shit. Oh, it gets worse as I go on. It says Zionism is the Jewish national movement of self-determination in the land of Israel. Bullshit. This is what it's really about. Let's go to, that's right, the scriptures. Hold on. This is what this is about. So, like, I apologize for some reason. I'm having technical difficulties here. Might have to reload. All right. This is, I apologize for that once again. This is Ezekiel 36. All right. I'll start at the top. This is Ezekiel chapter 36, verse 1. This is what these bastards did. Also, thou son of man, prophesy unto the mountains of Israel, and say, Ye mountains of Israel, hear the word of the Most High Yahweh. Thus saith the Most High, because the enemy have said against you, Aha! Even the ancient high places are ours in possession. Remember Zionism, and you go back to what's that piece of shit's name? Uh, I can't. I apologize. But before he died, in a very late, I believe it was 1897, they talked about this very same thing, and the Rothschilds, of course, were in on it. And there's a letter addressed to Lord, was it Walter Rothschild? It might have been his, can't remember his first and middle name, in congratulating him. That's why this one, and as I go on down, there's another one. All right, congratulating them on their theft, really, of Israel. All right, and that's all it was. theft. That's what they do. That's what these Edomites, these so-called white people do. These are especially the elites. All right? They're a whole nation of scumbags. All right? So anyway, let's read that again. Thus saith the Most High Yahweh, because the enemy, who's the enemy? Esau, Edom. The earth is given into the hand of the wicked. Job 9:24. Have said against you, aha! Even the ancient high places are ours in possession. All right. Verse 3, therefore prophesy and say, thus saith the Most High Yahweh, because they have made you desolate. Who will they make desolate? Us. All right. And ultimately, these devils are a tool of the Most High. All right. And swallowed you up on every side, that ye might be possession unto the residue of the heathen, which we are. We have no power whatsoever. We have no representatives. And that's the whole point of this. Because of our actions in the past. And who are the only ones that fit that description? It's us. That ye might be a possession unto the residue of the heathen, and ye are taken up in the lips of talkers, and are an infamy of the people. Going back in Lamentations 2:15 and 16, they couldn't wait till we went down, and they want to keep us in that position. Hence, Psalms 83rd chapter. Everybody's come together so the name of Israel will be no more in remembrance. All right. Let's see. Let me keep on 4. Therefore, ye mountains of Israel, hear the word of the Most High Yahweh. Thus saith the Most High, to the mountains, and to the hills, and to the rivers, and to the valleys, to the desolate waste, and to the cities that are forsaken, which became a prey and derision to the residue of the heathen that are round about. We are prey. Everybody does whatever they want to us. And as it says in Jeremiah 15:5, nobody asks how we do, because they don't give a shit. We are using America primarily as an example, because everyone thought the Emancipation Proclamation was such a good thing. No, all they did was shift tactics. After which, all that free labor, what were they going to do? So what? It shifted to what? With the laws and everything. And then you had the invention of the prison industrial complex. All right. And that goes on even to this day. Verse 5. Therefore thus saith the Most High Yahweh, surely in the fire of my jealousy have I spoken against the residue of the heathen, and against all Idumea. Who is Idumea? That's the Greek way of saying Edom. All right, Edom, that's the nation that descended from their forefather, which is Jacob's brother Esau. These are the people that refer to themselves as white, and that was only in the last 300 plus years. All right. They're not white. That's just a play on words, because they call us black and we're not black. All right. You understand what those two words mean? You go into them, then you can understand the game that's being played. It says, which have appointed my land into their possession with the joy of all their heart. And when you read that Rothschild letter, let me see if I can pull that up. Let's see. Let me get this one here. Let's see. I don't know what's wrong with this thing now. It's running mighty slow, just whatever. But anyway, Balfour Declaration. Here it is. Here's the letter. All right. You'll see what I mean. Dear Lord Rothschild, I have much pleasure in conveying to you, on behalf of His Majesty's government, the following declaration of sympathy with Jewish Zionists aspirations which has been submitted to and approved by the cabinet. His Majesty's government view with favor the establishment in Palestine of a national home for the Jewish people. And who also played a part of that was he was a friend of Harry Truman's, Jacob something. All right, and the story was he went up there crying and talking about he wanted to. These people are skillful liars and deceivers. All right, and will use their best endeavors to facilitate the achievement of this object. It being clearly understood that nothing shall be done which may prejudice the civil and religious rights of existing non-Jewish communities in Palestine. A big, bold-faced lie, and what has been going on ever since, because those and their Ishmaelites, they know that those people don't belong there. So it's been after that was signed that same night, conflict started. All right. So what did these devils do? This was, let's see, what they in 47. This is before the signing of this. There was the bombing of the King David Hotel. All right. And there's some shady shit surrounding that. That's a whole nother topic. But it said, it being clearly understood that nothing shall be done which may prejudice the civil and religious rights of the existing non-Jewish communities in Palestine, or the rights and political status enjoyed by Jews in any other country. I should be grateful if you would bring this declaration to the knowledge of the Zionist Federation. And let's see which Rothschild it was. Walter, I was right. Walter Rothschild. All right, it says authors. All right. So, going back to the article. Yeah, these devils play this game, and, you know, the cowards that they are, it's this constant push against anybody else having same thing. You know, that's why, you know, they're all in on this together. Like, they don't want people to be able to defend themselves against them. All right, and they're behind all this shit. It's something called what's that terminology? Covert aggression. And what these devils will do, just like these devils here in America, with the indigenous peoples here, they'll play dress up like them and do some atrocities against their own people in order to gain favor in the eyes of the world that what they're doing is so righteous. Yes, that's a fact. You know, the French and Indian Wars and all that, yes, these bastards did that. And even before then, all right? It says 20 countries made the decision to boycott the commemoration according to the Conference of Presidents of Major American Jewish Organizations. The organization called on additional countries to join the efforts in continuing to fight racism, bigotry, and anti-Semitism. There's no such word. You're over there in a region that's nothing but, and it's Shemites. Those Arabs are Shemites. They come out of Abraham. So you know this is all bullshit. They even invent a word here, anti-Semitism. That's not the same thing. See, they play these word games and people, but you know, more and more people are waking up to the bullshit. Here it is in the UN here. Wow. It says, now I want to pay attention to the wording here. It says, for the first time since the pandemic began early last year, more than 24 world leaders appeared in person at the UN on the opening day of the annual high-level meeting Tuesday. In speech after speech, the atmosphere was somber, angry, and dire. Chinese President Xi Jinping warned that the world has entered a period of new turbulence and transformation. All right, like I said, pay attention to this wording. Finland President, whatever his name is, we are indeed at a critical juncture, and Costa Rican President Carlos Alvarado Quesada declared the future is raising its voice at us. Less military weaponry, more investment in peace. Again, the wording. Speaker after speaker at Tuesday's opening of the nearly week-long meeting decried the inequalities and deep divisions that have prevented united global action to end the pandemic, which has claimed nearly, here we go, 4.6 million lives It's like every other method of death just took a back seat. Some of you will eventually figure it out. All right, the pandemic and climate are certain to remain top issues for heads of state and government. Following the commemoration of the UN World Conference Against Racism, and a lot of you that are willfully ignorant, you got to get over this. Every time they say conspiracy theory, I would encourage you to look deeper into what they're trying to get you to move away from, whatever topic it is. Oh, it's just conspiracy theory. So far, the so-called conspiracy theorists are perfect. It's you dumbasses that are a zero. All right. It says, following the commemoration for the UN World Conference Against Racism, heads of states will start delivering their annual addresses again in the vast General Assembly Hall. Speakers include King Abdullah II of Jordan, Indonesian President Joko Widodo, and Kenyan President Uhuru Kenyatta. Perhaps the harshest assessment of the current global crisis came from UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres, who opened his State of the World address sounding an alarm that the world must wake up. But wake up from what? Our world has never been more threatened or more divided. We face the greatest cascade of crisis in our lifetimes. We are on the edge of an abyss and moving in the wrong direction. Guterres pointed to supersized, glaring inequalities in addressing the pandemic. Climate alarm bells ringing at fever pitch, upheavals from Afghanistan, Ethiopia, Yemen, and beyond thwarting peace, and a surge of, get this, mistrust and misinformation that is polarizing people and paralyzing societies. What did I say at the top about controlling the narrative? Hillary Clinton said during the Trump, when she was going against Trump, that they lost or they are losing the information war. All right? That's what they're worried about, because the con, as in their use of guile, is not working anymore. That fear, that blitzkrieg of fear from the initial onset of the pandemic has worn off. So that's why Biden, a couple of weeks back, said they're losing patience, because they just were sure that a lot of people were going to be so scared, all right, that they wouldn't have this hard of a time. But listen to this as I read again from Guterres. He said, in a surge of mistrust and misinformation. That's why he's saying that it's polarizing people and paralyzing society. How is it polarizing? Because you're either here, you really need to, everybody take the jab. There's no reason not to. And you got people over here, wait a minute, something's wrong. This is bullshit. It makes no sense. And then you got this so-called new technology. But for what? People, because of time, like I said in my one of my videos months ago, I said time was the enemy of these motherfuckers. All right? As more time went on, more people like, hold the fuck up. Again, something is not right. And they started to use that, their head for more than a head rack, as people say. All right? Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan said the pandemic was a reminder that the entire world are, again, the wording, are part of a big family. But the solidarity test that we are put to failed us miserably. It is a disgrace for humanity that jibber jabber, nationalism is still being carried on through different methods, and underdeveloped countries and poor segments of societies have been literally left to their fate in the face of the pandemic. Again, they're all in on this shit. What's not been reported is you have three heads of state that were murdered with Haiti being the last one. The fourth barely escaped. I believe he's the president of Madagascar, because they didn't want anything to do with this uh, big pharma shit. Continuing on, as for the climate crisis, Erdogan said whoever did the most damage to nature and the atmosphere and water, and whoever has wildly exploited natural resources should make the greatest contribution to fighting global warming. That's code for you American pieces of shit. Unlike the past, this time no one can afford the luxury to say, I'm powerful, so I will not pay the bill, because climate change will treat mankind quite equally, the Turkish leader said. The duty for all of us is to take measures against this enormous threat with a fair burden sharing. Ooh. All right. If anybody remembers when Trump was in office, he made a big stink about others not paying their share. Continuing on, Romania's President Klaus Iohannis did find something positive for the pandemic crisis. While the pandemic affected almost all aspects of our lives, he said it also provided us with opportunities to learn, adapt, and do things better. Two of the most closely watched speeches on Tuesday were delivered by U.S. President Joe Biden and Chinese President Xi Jinping. In an AP interview on Saturday, Guterres warned that the world could plunge into a new and probably more dangerous Cold War if China and probably more and the United States don't repair their completely dysfunctional relationship. Well, so much for that. Guess what? They're in bed with Australia now. They fucked over the French. And now everybody's looking at that situation in Australia as the beginnings of a new Cold War. So scratch that. Biden said in his UN address that the United States was not attempting to be divisive or confrontational bullshit. We are not seeking a new Cold War or a world divided into rigid blocks. The United States is ready to work with any nation that steps up and pursues bullshit. I'm not going to read the rest of it. One of the elders did a video on, and it's true, you got the Euphrates River over there drying up. And if you remember Revelation 16 chapter, about making a way for the kings of the east. Oh, hell yeah. Hey, we ain't got long, folks. We ain't got long. So, and a matter of fact, goes into Bolsonaro. They on his ass down in Venezuela, too. Brazil. All right. So, something's flaring up, and since I said that, Venezuela also. So, everything and everyone's in an uproar now because they sense, everybody's tired of this so-called white man's bullshit. Everybody's starting to see him for what he is. We read Isaiah 25th chapter, Isaiah 47. His witchcraft ain't working no more. Isaiah 34, since I said that. Ezekiel 25. All these things. In the not too distant future, more so then than now, of course, I wouldn't be surprised if these Edomites won't be able to go anywhere outside of where they hold a majority. All right? It's going to be, what's the phrase they say? It's not going to be a good time to be a so-called white man. All right? I'll just leave it at that. All right? Because he's been what? A fugitive and a vagabond in the earth for so long. He hasn't paid for the crimes he's committed, but he will. Isaiah 14 chapter. All right? And that big, Isaiah 63. All right? When the Lord comes back. All right? Hey, so with that, I didn't intend for it to go this long, but once again, you got these whiny pieces of shit here want to play the card. They always talk about somebody else playing the card, but here's what they do. People are so tired of this bullshit. They know you're not the people that's supposed to be over there. All right? Hey, so with that, once again, I hope whoever views these videos are edified. trying to let you know, hey, time grows short. Stay prayed up. All right. And if you're straddling that fence at this point, I don't understand why. Well, I do, but it's not a good thing to do so. So, uh, hey, time grows short. So with that, hey, shalom, shalom.